Hello students, welcome to Vijetha IAS Academy Ethics classes. In this session, we are going to deal with this particular topic, that is laws, rules, regulations and constraints as sources of ethical guidance. So first part, we are going to deal with laws, rules, regulations as a source of ethical guidance. And we are keep on seeing in the previous sessions that ethical conduct should be there by the civil servants. It is the duty of civil servants to do ethical, to perform actions ethically. They have to take care of the welfare of the people. They have to work for the public interest. They should not indulge in any unethical practices like corruption. They should serve the nation with honesty, integrity. So these are the crux of entire ethics paper, is to inculcate the new generation of civil servants with these ideas, with these ideals, principles. When it comes to everybody do not know by birth, do we know which is ethical, which is unethical? We do not know. As we grow up, then we will come to know that which is a correct way of thinking, which is a correct way of behaving and which is not, and so on. When it comes to civil services also, the moment civil servants enter into the system, do they know everything? No, obviously they will not. They have to learn many things. And all the people who are entering into the civil service do not know exactly what should be done, at what point of time, what should be the action. And if country is very big, then this complexity will become even bigger. So therefore, when India is very big and bureaucracy, huge bureaucracy is required. That's what the Indian government at central level also, state governments at the local level will have their bureaucracy. These bureaucrats should perform their functions. The expected behavior of this bureaucracy is to perform the actions very efficiently, effectively, honestly. And ultimately, whatever the goal India is having, India as a nation, like every family will have their own goals. It could be like every family member should be healthy. Every family member should be educated. The goals, whether these goals will happen or not, that is depending on the family members' hard work. But in general, the general goals, no person should be ill in the family, everyone should be happy, healthy, educated, and everyone will be able to contribute their bit for the wealth of the family. In this way, for India also as a family, India is a family. Like every family will have certain head, similarly India also, like a family, will have the head, that is the government of India. And this government of India will set the goals. But the power at the top, it is not a single person, it's an invisible power authority divided among three different important wings: executive, legislature and judiciary. But the connecting point, connecting thread of all these is President of India. So she is the head of entire family. India as a family, now she is the head of the family. President of India is the head. Under these wings, bureaucrats will function. So these goals can be achieved only if everyone who is supposed to do their duty perform very well. India is a very big country and different people come from different regions of the country. Someone from northeast, someone from deep south, someone Gujarat, someone Kashmir. And they are educated in different languages also. The way of thinking is going to be little bit diverse in different periods and different parts of India. The way of understanding is also different. That's why, even though suppose if all the bureaucrats are given the task that everyone should become 100% literate in the country, the way they do will change but there should be some kind of rule, regulation, some kind of direction must be there, so that today one person will come into the system and after some time they will retire, and new people will be coming, and again they retire and new people will be coming. But the goal of making India 100% educated is the goal that is always remain. People will be coming and going. So there should be a mechanism, some guidelines. Whoever enter into the system, everybody is supposed to follow certain guidelines. Otherwise, it becomes very arbitrary. Like in ancient and medieval times, whatever kings used to behave, whatever kings used to feel, that is the law of, that is the direction for the bureaucracy. And it purely depends on the mood of the personality. A person will not think in the same way like a child. Child thinking is different. When a person becomes younger, now you imagine a person became the king at a very young age only. Happened at the age of 13, 12, and even some people at the just at born only, at baby, when they were baby itself, nobles declare that he is our Raja. Now what this Raja know? There must be some kind of guidelines irrespective of that personality, so that bureaucracy will be keep functioning. In ancient times and medieval times that was the case. Now when Raja becomes young, then his way of thinking is going to change and he may change the rules. And when he become matured, and he will think in a different matured way and he will change the rules. And after some time, once he become middle aged, then his way of thinking may change, again change of the rule. At the old age, now his way of thinking is going to be completely different, again change. But that should not be, that is called arbitrary. That is called, he may consult or he may not consult others also, but he will do whatever he would like to do in the country. But that is not in democracy. Democracy, it is not the wish of a single person, it is the will of the people. It is not the wish of a single person, it is the will of public. So that's what some philosophers also told. Only when general will of the people is used by the state, then everybody will be happy, prosperous. As country is progressing from 1947 onwards, if we take that as the period where a new era has begun, then in 75 years, many bureaucrats entered into the system, many bureaucrats went out of the system, but the system is continuously going on. What is the common thread? In many generations, one common thread which is keeping all these people in line is laws. That is called law of the land. The big law, the fundamental law of India at this moment is Constitution of India. Constitution of India. This Constitution of India will give guidelines, directions to the every part of the country's bureaucracy, or in general executive, legislature, judiciary. It will be given certain guidelines, directions that how they should perform in day-to-day activities in general, broad principles. But that Constitution values are supplemented by the Parliament. Parliament by giving some more directions to the people, some more directions to the civil services or executive, that it should be a particular task should be done in this particular manner. Suppose if there is a right to education, whatever direction Parliament give, that becomes act, that is the law. Suppose if Parliament passes a law called Right to Education Act, that means Parliament is saying Parliament is the will of the people, because people are voting and electing the member of parliaments, they are going. That means whatever the decision Parliament takes, that is the decision taken by the people at large. Because every time, every decision cannot be taken by all the sections of the people in one go. 1.4 billion people, how they can take decision? That's why people select different regions, select their representative. That means one member of parliament is representing the number of population below him. So that is one member of parliament voice is equal to the voices of lakhs of people. Through them, that means like all the member of parliament combinedly, they are the voices of the people. The moment they pass a law, that Right to Education Act, that means legally every child before age 14 must be educated. No child should be out of the school. If any child is having the age below 14 or below, then everybody must be given education. Suppose if there is no such law, then what happens? In some places, general oral direction given by the executive, then it will not have any kind of enforceability. That means in some places, people below 14 and 14 will be entering into the schools, some people will not. But if there is a law, then that law clearly declare that everybody must be there. Otherwise, if somebody fails to bring, they will be punished. So the moment punishment comes, then it will become enforceable. That enforceability make this goal achievable. That is called law. But when it comes to parliament, it cannot say for each and every area, everything cannot be codified. It gives broad outline, and remaining things like regulations and rules will be framed by the people who are going to execute this law. Executive wing will declare some more new guidelines that how exactly on the ground level what should be done to make this law successful. So simply overall, laws or regulations or rules, they are all the directions, the paths through which a particular goal is achieved. And this path is going to be very systematic, not very random, not very arbitrary, not without any rational thinking. It is a properly laid path. And this path, can they lay the path with unethical means? For example, you are making, if you take a Hitler regime, Hitler government was there in 1930s. Now that government decided that Germany was not able to grow because of some sections of the people. The government believed that government bring a law, that is the Jewish people must be given training because they are not thinking like Germans. They must be trained in such a way that they will also think like Germans. That means all the people who are residing and living for many generations in Germany land, now this law is saying that some are pure German, some are not pure Germans. And can this law be correct one? Is this a correct way of thinking? But except in such cases, in majority cases, laws will be in a good way. The laws will not be made for making something harm to the country. Laws are made for making country better, progressive. They will be mostly aligned with the ethical ways. Ethical means all people must be treated equally. That is the ethical consideration. When it comes to Right to Education Act, all students, here this law will not discriminate between human beings based on religion, based on language, based on region. This law will be applied in Assam also, this law will be applied in Kerala also. It will be applied for Muslims also, it will be applied for Hindus also. Jainas also, Buddhists also, Christians also, Sikhs also, everywhere. Otherwise, suppose if that is called ethical way of thinking, the guidelines, the law gives ethical consideration. Irrespective of the religion, people must be given education. Suppose if law says government will fund the public, but only some group of the people, only the people who are following the particular religion will be given education out of state and remaining people will be excluded. Is it ethical? Ethics say that all people must be treated equally. They should not be discriminated based on their identity, based on the way they speak, they are based on the way they appear. Then is it ethical? No. But that is what Parliament is all about. Parliament, while passing the law itself, they debate that if government try to bring a law which is excluding the people, then Parliament, the other constituencies, other MPs will immediately raise the concern and they will say that this is discriminatory, it is against the spirit of the constitution, against the spirit of the ethics, this is unethical, let us modify the law so that it becomes in tune with ethical consideration and it will follow the right direction. That's why while passing laws in democracies, in general in democracies, people are going to debate, discuss, remove the provisions which are unethical while passing the law itself, and more or less laws will follow the ethics of the land. In India, if a law is passed by the parliament, they follow the ethical considerations. They cannot discriminate based on certain group, and they cannot, for example, when it comes to environment, environment is a community asset. Environment must be protected. That is ethical. That is the correct way of thinking, and that is correct for giving opportunity for the larger sections of the people to live a healthy life. If there is no pollution, then it will give a lot of health for the people and overall community will benefit. When parliament passes a law also, if there is any polluted industries are there, then law will say that these polluted industries will not benefit the community, they must be removed, or environment ministry should not give any kind of permissions to such kind of industries so that people at large will benefit. This is called ethical considerations. So this topic is about laws, rules, regulations and conscience as sources of ethical guidance. When you pass a law, parliament, ethical guidance. That means people enter into the civil services from Assam, from Kerala, from Jammu and Kashmir, from Gujarat, irrespective of their upbringing, they all come into the system and they will start following the law. Then this law is made considering all the parts of India into one unit, and this law more or less follow the ethical ways. So that's what law will give the guidance, ethical guidance. So whatever law says, if it do not have any malintentions, then that itself is a source of ethics. But generally, ethics before parliament, then what was the source of ethics? There must be some source of ethics. Who is giving this, what is correct and what is wrong? Is God is giving? Those people who are believing in God believe that it is the God who gave the directions to the public that this is good, this is right. If parliament is there, if political system is there, if executive, legislative, judiciary is wings are there, then they pass a law. That law says which is correct, which is incorrect. And what if in dictatorship? And what if people don't know, have any kind of religious practices, if they don't believe in religion, then how do those people will have the idea that what is right and what is wrong? In those circumstances, natural laws, nature itself will create, and in nature when people are living, we human beings are also part of the nature. By nature itself, people should not harm the other animal, other species. You should not harm the others. That is a natural law. Here, whether religion says, whether law says or not, but as a human being, people have certain kind of inner voice. That inner voice says that you should not discriminate based on this. You should not differentiate based on certain prejudices. You should treat everybody equal. You should always aim for making everybody happy surrounding you. This inner voice is called conscience. Conscience will give some kind of direction that which is right and which is wrong. So overall, there was one person that Thomas Aquinas. There was a person called Thomas Aquinas, and he said that laws can be broadly divided into 4 different sections. And what is law in the first place? Law as the ethical guidance. Ethical guidance in society is derived from a combination of laws, rules, regulations and individual conscience. So what is correct and what is incorrect, people will come to know, or civil servants will come to know by these methods. First of all, what is law? Laws are only rules in a legal form. Legally, generally, whatever people say arbitrarily, if that with a discussion, with a debate, with a proper mechanism, if they codify that, then those guidelines will become laws. It is a rule that has been legally made to apply to every member of society. It has been enacted by a legislature in a democratic system. A law can be considered to be a much more formal than a regulation. A higher level of government sets the laws. So, in democratic setup, whatever parliament says, and if it has a formal recognition, what parliament is saying collectively, that is called law. And regulations and law rules will just below the law, it will subset, it will supplement what laws are there. As per Thomas Aquinas, there is a eternal law. Eternal law means that is always be there. Universe, they are not made but exist eternally. These laws are not made by the human beings. Before human beings are also, they are there. Suppose if because of nuclear weapons, all nuclear weapons exploded on the world and all entire humanity completely eradicated, let us assume. After human beings also, this law will be there. That is called eternal law. Before human beings also there, after human beings also will be there. They are comprising all those scientific, physical, chemical, biological laws by which the universe is ordered. Law determining planetary motion, flow of energy, conservation of mass and energy. Whether human beings are there on this earth or not, before the formation of earth, before the formation of sun, and before the formation of stars, this universe, this eternal law was there. And these laws are behind this universe running. Like human beings are going on the road, vehicles must travel on the road. That is a law, that is a norm that is created by the human beings. Human beings created a road, and on the road vehicles should travel. And if there is no vehicle, there is no travel, there is no road, then people were walking. Whatever way they wanted to go, they were walking. If there is a road, people started walking on the road. Before road also, people were walking. And if there is no road also, people will walk once again. Similarly, this earth also will move according to this eternal law. This was since the beginning of the universe itself, these laws were there. These are like a gravitational force, it will be there. Only that we discovered, we human beings discovered that law, otherwise we don't know, but it was existing. So that's why if we don't know doesn't mean it is not existing, it was existing, but we came to know, we discovered it gradually. Earlier, earth was like a flat in the human mind. Later, humans discovered that it is not flat, it is a spherical. So that's what human laws. But before humans, these eternal laws, and even we human beings yet to know what are fully these eternal laws. Divine law, laws that are revealed to humans through sacred texts like Bible, Quran and Gita. In different parts of the world, like in Saudi Arabia, a person called Prophet Muhammad, considered as prophet of the followers of Islam, gave words to the public that these are the words of the God. When they codified these words, that became Quran. So Quran is the words of God, and God has given these words, and people should follow these words properly. This is a religious law or divine law given. Before God also universe, and this debate will go on whether God is there or not, exist or there not, but generally people will follow divine law. Some follow Bible, whatever Bible says, that is not a human word, that is the God's word. That's why we should follow them. That is a source of ethics. So whatever Bible says, that is correct. Whatever Bible is not prescribing, that is not correct. Whatever Quran says, that is ethical. Whatever Quran do not prescribe, that is unethical. Whatever Gita says, that is ethical. Whatever it is not prescribing, that is unethical. When it comes to eternal law, how this universe is run, that is ethical. That's what eternal law and divine law. Natural law, a part of eternal law that humans can grasp through reason. That's why when it comes to gravitational force, through reason, human beings, Newton started thinking about it. After thinking, then he came to conclusion that there is a force between two bodies that is called gravitational force. Through human reason, these eternal laws are understood by the humans. When it comes to Einstein, he told a small amount of mass can be converted into huge amount of energy. Before Einstein also, the nature was following this law. Before Newton also, gravitational force was there. But through their reason, by developing their faculties in the brain, they were able to understand. Not everybody were able to understand. Before Newton, so many millions of people came and went out of this earth. And after Newton also, millions of people came and they all went. Before Einstein also, people came, and after Einstein also, people came. But these eternal laws through their reasoning. Likewise, different people have different talents. These are called natural law, a part of eternal law that humans can grasp through reason. Do good, do avoid evil, do help those need, dignity for all, etc. So the purpose of human life is to follow through human reason, because humans felt that if we are happy, if all people are happy, that is good for humanity. Otherwise, it is not good for humanity. A natural law. Human law. They are all created by human beings, NRC, CAA, Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, etc. They depend on the above three types of laws: jizya on non-Muslims, now it is repealed, Hilbert Bill, etc. So now when it comes to human laws, these are the laws created by the humans. Human beings were there since so many centuries, but the way humans are thinking, it was gradually changing. Now when it comes to this, 2000 BC, that means from now onwards 4000 years ago, there were human beings and they were thinking in a separate way. The way we are thinking in 2024, the people who are thinking 4000 years ago, the thought process of 2000, after 4000 years, there will be change. Definitely there will be change. But some may continue even today also, but some will be prevalent and also only applicable only to that society, not to present society. In 1000 BC, in 600 BC, in case of Indian context, some laws emerged in the society, human laws, Dharma Sutras. Dharma Shastras, Dharma Sutras based on this knowledge later emerged. According to Dharma Shastras and Dharma Sutras, people should be divided into 4 Varnas. A ruler must protect these 4 Varnas. If Shudra violate this law, then he must be punished very severely. This is a law. That means, by birth it is saying that some group, other group and other group are not equal. By birth they are not equal. By birth they are different. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. By birth they are not equal. That was the human law. But by understanding eternal laws, by understanding natural laws, we human beings started thinking that this way of thinking is not correct. The law of nature says all human beings are equal. So all are equal. This is called through reason. By passing a law, Constitution of India is like that. Earlier, Indian people were following such a law that where by birth human beings are not equal. That is the law for their time period. But that law is not applicable today. Because our rational thinking, our reasoning capability increased, by seeing this discriminatory practice, we come to conclusion that that way of thinking which people were following thousands of years ago, that was not the right way of thinking. The right way of thinking is to treat all people are equal. Accordingly, now new laws will come, that is Constitution of India. As per today's context, this is the law of the land. and this law is the moral. But for this society, this is the moral. According to that time period, that was correct, but the same kind of law is not correct today. We have to change it. That's where the law will be a guiding source. But there are four types: eternal laws, natural laws, divine laws, and human laws. Whatever human beings are passing, they are the laws. When it comes to these laws also, they do not say that it is the creation of human beings, it is the creation of God, divine laws. It is what Quran said, it is what Gita said, it is what Bible said. Depending on that, they used to say that these kind of laws must be there in the society so that there will be order, no chaos, law and order will be prevailed. With the human reason, that kind of thinking is changing. Now we are following laws according to the latest thinking process. All human beings are equal. That means it is more ethical. Is it more ethical or is it more ethical? Whatever we are in, wherever we are doing, we are living in these times, and we are living the best times that no human beings are discriminated. At least in theory, people do not believe that people are different. All human beings are equal. This is a kind of ethical behavior at this point of time. So Thomas Aquinas said there will be four different types. But when it comes to laws, rules and regulations, what we are talking today is these human laws. These human laws, over a period of time, it was gradually changing over a period of time since ancient times. In ancient times, four varnas are different. Now when it comes to Islamic states, they used to impose a tax called jizya tax on non-Muslims. Just because the people are not following the religion of the ruler, non-Islamic followers should pay a tax, special tax called jizya. Is it rational? Is it ethical? According to Quran, according to that particular time period, that is ethical. But for today's context, it is not ethical. So therefore, at that particular point of time, whatever Quran says that is ethical, that law is the source of ethical guidance. What present day laws are saying, that is the source of present day guidance. Are you getting this? It's all about, we are trying to understand how laws are becoming the source of ethical guidance. These are the laws like jizya at that point of time, that is ethical, but today it is not ethical. And now it is repealed. And when it comes to British time period also, there was illiberatable controversy that only British judges can judge both Europeans also, Indians also. But the law says Indian judges cannot give judgments on Europeans. That is discriminatory. That kind of, but in those times, from the British point of view, that is ethical. But today we do not have such kind of law that all people are same on. For them, that is the law, that law is the source of ethical guidance. And whatever law we pass, that is the source of ethical guidance today. So this is how laws become ethical guidance, what is correct and what. For the judge, whatever law says, that is correct. The judge should just exactly follow the law, otherwise that is not correct. Three essential features of human law. It is a codification of expected conduct. A law can be brought like a citizenship law. A law can be based on right to education. Aadhaar Act, everybody should register under Aadhaar. This kind of laws will be there. So many laws. Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, earlier it was called Indian Penal Code, where for every criminal activity, for robbery something, for murder certain punishments, for violating the modesty of women certain punishment. This kind of punishments, these kind of laws are being made, that is expected code of conduct. And how these laws are made, that is depending on the common people's in that particular society, whatever is expected code of conduct, that is codified in law. It is enacted formally by the governing authority. It's not that one person suddenly wake up and start giving that this is the code of conduct. That is not going to happen. Formal authority should be there, properly it is deliberated, then final decision should be taken. deviation from the provisions of the law shall act penal action. Because the law is given like right to education. On what basis right to education? It is generally in society expected that all children should go to the schools. If children are given good education, then they will live a dignified life. For overall country also, it is going to benefit the country. That is an ethical consideration. That is a good way of thinking. Based on that, a law is passed, right to education. Then if somebody do not follow that law, penalties will be there. And this law is not suddenly passed by one person or two people. It was deliberated in the parliament. Parliament means the will of the people through member of parliament. That's why people themselves created a law. And if somebody do not follow that law, they will attract the punishment. It could be following a traffic. It could be following the law of the land. Suppose if industry is there, industry must follow all the norms. According to Environment Ministry, it has to, whatever the law says, everything has to be there. Income tax law will be there. Everybody should file income tax properly. Otherwise, if they fail to do that, then they will attract the penalties. This is what law. But these laws will be based on the general people's expectations. Formally, they enact. And if somebody fail to follow these orders, these laws, then they will attract penalties. As the degree of democracy in governance increases, law marches towards ethics. For example, laws made by Hitler, British laws in India's doctrine of lapse and subsidiary lines, etc. were not ethical. If more people participate in the, for example, people in Northeast, people in Gujarat, people in Kerala, people in Jammu and Kashmir, if all they join together, then they will find a common platform and a common code of conduct, which is applicable to Assam also, Kerala also, Gujarat also, Kashmir also. If that increasement, the involvement is more from different regions, from wider sections of the people, then that is going to be more ethical, because it is helping larger sections of the people and without having any trouble for all sections of the people. Otherwise, if you neglect some parts, if you neglect a certain group, only certain groups are taking the decision. That means at most that particular law may apply for one particular section of the people, then that is unethical. If democracy more, that means more people will involve, that means more democratic, that means it will be more ethical. That's what law as a source of ethics. If you deliberate more, if you involve more number of people in bringing a law, that law will be more closer to more ethical considerations. If this is exclusionary in nature, then that is unethical. For example, a law was passed by Hitler, then that is only for certain group, and the majority sections were completely, citizenship also taken away, their rights were taken away, and even they were killed also. There is a law, but is this law ethical? No. If all people involved in the decision making, then it becomes more ethical. That's how, when there is apartheid in South Africa, there was a system called black people should not be equal with white people. White people will enter into separate schools, they live in separate quarters, and black people should not enter into there. And that is, you are discriminating the people, that is not unethical. That is a law, but that is not unethical. Except a few conditions like this, majority they are going to follow the ethical considerations. Laws, regulations and rules. So majority is like this, but what are the differences between this? Minor differences will be there because they are all interlinked with each other. Formal statute enacted by legislative bodies, that is, legislative bodies will bring these laws. Regulation means specific directives issued by government agencies to implement laws. Suppose SEBI is there, for example. SEBI takes care of the stock market. In the first place, there is an act by the parliament, that is overall broad guideline. Then a body is also created. That body will be having the powers to issue certain regulations. And those regulations also must be followed by the industries and stock market. Rules means guidelines or institutions, instructions created by organizations or authorities. That could be even at the lower level. So it is at the medium level, lower level, and at the top level laws. Created by legislative bodies, created by executive, and created by an organization. Suppose one organization function under executive body, organization, and this SEBI, and this is Parliament. Whatever Parliament says, that is law. Whatever SEBI says, that is regulations. Whatever organization say, that is rules. But these rules must be in consonance with the regulations, and they must be in tune with laws. That's how all these are source of ethics. I do not know what is ethics. I do not know what is right. I do not know what is wrong. Simply, I follow what law says. That means I am ethical. I simply follow what regulation says. I am ethical. I simply follow what rule says. That is ethical. So ethics, that's what these rules, laws, regulations, and rules, they are the source of ethics in the society. Next one. Legal status, legally binding may or may not be legally binding. Suppose there is a dress code in the company. That's not a legal one. If somebody do not come in that dress code, whatever prescribed, they will not be punished by taking them into High Court or Supreme Court. That is a general rule. Sometimes they may strictly follow, sometimes they may not that strictly. But when it comes to SEBI says audit files must be reported every year. That is regulation they must do. And when it comes to law says that all the SEBI must completely oversaw all these conducts, all these audits, or all these companies which are under them in a proper way. That should be followed. That is legally binding. If SEBI do not perform its duties properly, if the SEBI chairman do not perform it properly, then they will be prosecuted in the judiciary. That's how. Legally binding may or may not be legally binding. Scope, broad, specific details, and often more specific in the organization. Flexibility, when it comes to laws, less flexible. Then regulations will be somewhat flexible and more flexible when it comes to rules. Penalties often include severe penalties, can include penalties, and may or may not be severe. Purpose, establish fundamental rights and obligations, provide specific guidelines for implementing laws, govern behavior within the specific context. So it's like laws are bigger one. Law will be overall, and regulations will be there, and rules narrow, then more broader, and even more broader. Parliament will generally give the guidelines. Then below that, whoever immediately following their laws, they will be able to give the regulations like Election Commission of India. It could be SEBI. It could be TROI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. It could be UIDA, Identification Authority of India, then and so on. Then below that there will be different organizations, they will follow their own rules. Then examples, when it comes to examples, Right to Education Act, TROI regulation, and traffic rules. So different way are there. Fines will be, it will vary depending on the nature of the law. If laws are violated, more punishment. If regulations are violated, less punishment than the laws. And if rules are violated, that means less punishment. That means, in other words, if rules are violated, punishment will be there. Depending on the nature, it may be less or more. But if regulations are violated, more punishment. If laws are violated, even more punishment. So punishment, more punishment, even more punishment. That is how the variation. But overall, simply, in a simple manner, they are all guiding lights. They guide the behavior of the people. If people follow them, that means they are ethical. In majority cases, we cannot say 100%, That may otherwise Hitler also gave the laws. If people follow that, then that is not ethical. In majority cases, in democratic, that's what, if more democratically if the laws are passed, that means it is going to be more ethical. People who are entering into the civil services, civil servants can just follow these rules, laws, regulations. That means they are doing their job ethically. That's what when it comes to laws, regulations, rules as ethical guidance. How laws and rules act as a source of ethical guidance? Laws are based on social norms. Just like that, Parliament will not pass only based on the requirement of the people. There was no environment ministry earlier. Later environment ministry came. That is because there is a concern for environment in the society. That's why a department was created. Right to education was created because if there is no such law, then majority people are not getting educated. Illiteracy is growing. Society expect that kind of new behavior, social norms. Fear of punishment. Because of fear of punishment, people will follow the ethical, that means rules, laws will be followed, that means ethically they behave. Enacted by the representative, that means if they represent the majority of the people, that's why they are ethical. Law is thoroughly deliberated by the learned man. So they are not randomly picked up, they are understood and learned, deliberated by the learned people. That means they have more ethical ways. It is vetted by public representatives in most cases. In most cases, they have been scrutinized by the judiciary. So judiciary also takes care. That's why there are so many checks and balances that if there is any unethical practice in the law has to pass through. Before law got finalized, it will pass through so many stages, so many filters. People will wish, that means people will ask for good behavior, ethical. Then if somebody deliberate by the learned people, then they will filter out some unethical part and they will make even more ethical. After passing the law, it will go to judiciary also. Judiciary also will remove certain unethical part and it will make a more ethical way. So overall, whatever law, rules, regulations they are passed, they will be for the benefiting the people. That means they will be the source of ethical guidance. In majority cases, unless these laws are forced, in majority cases they are going to be very ethical. That's how a civil servant who is entering into the civil service, if they follow laws, regulations and rules properly, systematically, that means in most of the cases they are following ethical considerations. They are following the ethics. Laws may not be a source. Sometimes, as I said, Hitler is just one example, that is very unknown example. That's why we are taking that as an important example to show that in all times the law may not be source of ethical. Simply that means all times all laws are not ethical. There was a law called Rowlatt Act, and Rowlatt Act is without having any kind of consideration for the people. They were imprisoned and sometimes they were even killed also. A protest was going on, law says you kill the people, but that is not ethical one. So that shows some laws will be there, but these laws sometimes may not be ethical, but in most of the cases they are going to be ethical. Sometimes, mostly it is coercive, income tax law, sometimes it is coercive. That coercion is not an ethical one. Wherever coercion is there, that is not ethical. It is a tool of powerful, lifelong presidency by Xi Jinping. In certain cases, a law will be passed that a person will be president, and through law only he says, I am the lifelong president. Will it be ethical? Law only. And he will say, I am just following the law. But that will not be ethical, because a person has to give chance to other people also. Fair and transparent chance. Game must be fair, so that the participants of the game, all participants will have the chance to win. Otherwise, game will be there, but always only one winner. That is not ethical. So that kind of regulation, that kind of law is not ethical. The law can be collusive, electoral bond, an example. To benefit certain people, if Parliament passes a law, then that is not ethical. Generally, Parliament passes a law in by keeping all sections of the people across the country. If they keep in mind only certain sections, certain companies in mind, and if they pass a law, that is not ethical. That's why most of the cases laws are ethical, but in certain cases they may not be ethical. And that is where consciousness will come. Just by robotic manner, if somebody follows rules and laws and regulations, they also may not be ethical 100%. And wherever certain kinds of ethical dilemmas will come. Yesterday in previous session we have seen that ethical dilemmas. You will clearly know that law is saying, like in case of Hitler, discriminate some people. Law itself saying that you discriminate. But personally you feel that discrimination itself is unethical. That's where ethical dilemmas will come. They have to be solved by consciousness, conscience. It may be unjust. Manusmriti in ancient times, it is a law, but that is a different. Jizya tax, that is a law, but unethical. There may be ambiguity also. Sometimes law will not be clear. It declares not very clear manner. It will give chance to different interpretations. And if the people interpret, sometimes they may misinterpret also. It will cause harm to the people. Again, that is unethical. It may conflict with individual social morality, surrogacy law. So, society says something and sometimes the law says something, and some kind of dispute may emerge. Rights will be there, but when it comes to if people follow religion as a source of law, religion will not give rights, women rights, but law says women should not have any rights. Then is it ethical? In certain orthodox societies, like in 1990s in Taliban, a law was passed, Sharia law. According to them, women should not be given education. Is it ethical? Law only. Still, that's where sometimes, all times, laws may not be ethical. But in majority cases where democratically passed laws, in majority cases, they are going to be laws, ethical. If civil servants who are entering into the system, if they just follow the laws clearly, without any malintentions, with the spirit of the law, then they are following the ethics. Sometimes ethics may not be ethical. That time ethical dilemmas will emerge. At that time conscience will help the civil servants to take the action, and in those times conscience will become the guidance of the ethical duty, ethical way of following the duty. So this is about different aspects, how laws, then subset of the laws like regulations and rules, they were also like simply the guiding light of the actions for the civil servants. In majority cases, laws will become the ethical way of, they prescribe the ethical way of conduct. If civil servants who enter into the system, if they follow these, that means they are doing their duty very ethically. Sometimes laws also will be having different kind of motivations, different kind of calculations. At that time, even it is a law, sometimes they are not ethical. At that point of time, conscience will come into picture. That we will take in a separate session. That I will explain in detail how this conscience will become an important source of ethical consideration. Thank you. We will meet in the next session.